Welcome to bad sampling techniques. So we are going to go over just a few common bad sampling techniques and we will talk about why they are bad techniques. So first up is convenience sampling. In convenience sampling, the researcher picks their sample in sort of the lazy way. And by which I means their sample consists of the people easiest for the researcher to reach. So an example of this would be if I were doing a study on California community college students. So if I did a study on California community college students, and only asked my own students, I'm going to give myself some more space. All right, so if I only ask my own students, but I'm claiming it represents all California community college students, well, the only people that had any chance of being picked are students taking statistics with me, right? So the only people with a chance of being included in the sample are those taking statistics with me at my college. So already that's narrowed down to students that need to take statistics or want to take statistics, students that go to my specific college, as opposed to anywhere else in the state of California. So convenience sampling is typically a highly biased sampling technique. It's usually biased just by the researcher's own experiences and community. So convenience sampling is highly biased. Those picked are usually from the researcher's own community. Next up, we have volunteer sampling. Volunteer sampling is actually used fairly regularly, um, more in experiments than in observational studies. The idea behind volunteer sampling is the researcher makes the study of it or survey or whatever it is available to lots of people, and those who wish to participate respond. So the researcher makes participation in the study available to lots of people. Could be the entire population has the chance to participate. And those who wish to participate do. So this is essentially a sample that's self-selecting. People choose to join the sample. Um, so some places where you will see this in the real world, let me give myself some more space once again. So for an example, when you go to the store and at the end of your receipt, there's a link you can go to answer questions about the service you received. So a store puts a link to a survey about customer service. Oops. At the end of the receipt. And then people can choose to respond to the survey or not. So the issue here is that the people that respond are typically people that have very strong opinions, or people that have lots of time. So the people who respond are usually the ones with very strong opinions. Or just people that have extra time to spare. Self-selection is a bad technique for sampling. It's just representative of the people that happen to like to participate in those sorts of surveys. So again, volunteer sampling is also likely to be highly biased. And the last type of sampling we're going to talk about today is, or for bad sampling, is judgment sampling. In judgment sampling, the researcher picks the sample directly themselves in a way that they feel is most representative of the population. So the researcher picks the sample in a so that it is most representative of the population. This technique is limited by the few things that the researcher is taking into account. So most likely the researcher will pay attention to race and possibly gender. So most likely the researcher will pay attention to race and gender. And will ignore all other factors. Furthermore, it's quite likely that the researcher will try to avoid appearing racist. The researcher will try to avoid appearing sexist. So the researcher will try to avoid appearing racist or sexist. And will likely overcompensate. So judgment sampling is just flawed all around. The researcher only knows what they can see. They're likely only to pay attention to race and gender, and ignore any other factor that contributes to how a person lives their lives and their experiences. So judgment sampling is highly biased, and it's influenced by the researcher's own biases. So as a general rule, judgment sampling should absolutely be avoided. Nobody is going to know enough about those around them, no matter how well they know them, to make a sample that accurately reflects the population from every possible perspective they could wish to consider when they talk about it being representative. So these are 3 bad techniques, things that you should avoid.